Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I'm going to show you how to use a flame weeder for ecological management out in nature, out in the woods. Um, on this project, I was looking for multiflora rose, you can see it here, and I used a flame weeder to kill it. And you can see some bush honeysuckle scattered around. And I'm going to come back in the dormant season. I did come back in the dormant season and cut these, and then I torched the stumps of the bush honeysuckle and the autumn olive. Now, this method works really well on multiflora rose. Multiflora rose is extremely sensitive to fire. For the bush honeysuckle and the autumn olive, they have a nice wood bark that insulates it and protects it. And so instead of just flaming it by itself, I will go and cut it and then I'll flame the stump. And I do that during the dormant season. And then I come back in the growing season to see what sprouted back. And the sprouts don't have bark on them. They haven't developed bark in that first growing season. So they're very vulnerable and tender, fresh, lots of moisture inside of them. And so when you put that flame on it, it boils all the moisture inside of them and just toasts those sprouts. My experience is whenever we do the multiflora rose, we have really good kill. I've seen over 90% of them die and not sprout back. And usually, when they do sprout back, the sprouts come out of the ground from the roots. With the bush honeysuckle and the multiflora rose, I've seen anywhere from 30% of them sprout back all the way up to 70% sprout back. There's a lot of variables at play, and so what I do is I come back after that first treatment. I'll come back in the growing season, and I like to wait until late June, early July when it gets really hot outside. And of course, we need to make sure that we've had some rain. We can't be using this flame torch when it's dry because we could start a wildfire. And so we only want to do it when things are wet and green, not in the middle of a drought. Uh, so I'll come back in the growing season and I'll torch those sprouts. And after that first torch, there might be 30% or less of those that sprout back. And so I'll come back before the end of the growing season and torch those. And sometimes I'll come back a third time during the growing season and torch those. And so I can pretty much eliminate all of those within 1 year. It requires multiple visits, but it's really not that big of a deal. After each visit, there's less work to do. Um, what else can I say? Well, I'll show you how to use a flame weeder because this is very important. I told somebody about this method and they went and did it and they had low success rate. And I believe it's because they didn't use it properly. It's pretty simple, but it does require a little bit of intention. So, one, you can see I'm pointed down towards the ground. And when you pull that trigger, there's up to 500,000 BTUs or more, depending on the torch, that are coming out of that. That's really hot. And like I said, multiflora rose is really sensitive to that high heat. But I like to point it at the ground where the stem is growing into the ground. And I like to kind of cook the soil around it. For this video, I didn't do that as well, but usually I'll point it straight at the ground and cook that soil because there's a lot of roots right by the surface. And so not only are we top killing the plant, but we can kill the roots with the flame blower, with the flame weeder. So I'll point it at the ground and make sure and stress out those top roots. And that's pretty much it. Um, I do hold it there for a moment. It's not a quick pass. I make sure that it gets a good dose of heat. On the woody stems, on the stumps after I cut them, I might hold it there just a little bit longer, a second or two, just to give it more heat and give it more surety. The longer that you hold the flame on there, the less chance that it will sprout. And so don't be afraid to hold that flame there for a while. And um, I can talk about the tool a little bit here. This is a Harbor Freight tool. It was like 30, 35 bucks, maybe 40. I can't quite remember. And it works pretty good. It's lightweight. Um, the trigger handle on it that you pull, I found wasn't reliable. It would get stuck all the way open a lot. And so there's a turn dial that you can just close the valve right there by the handle on the wand. And so that's what I use. And it's pretty easy to use, uh, almost as easy as using the pull handle. With the Harbor Freight model, it's Harbor Freight and it's not that really high quality. And I usually only get one growing season, 1 year out of it, and they sell a 2-year warranty with it. And so after the first one that I bought, I didn't buy the warranty, and sure enough, the next year I had to go buy another one because it quit working. So I bought the 2-year warranty, and then when that year ended and it quit working, I just took it back in and swapped it out. So you only have to pay for it once, and you can have a new tool every year, as long as Harbor Freight keeps that promotion going. I wanted to check out the other high quality ones, and so I went on Amazon and I ordered this one off Amazon, and it was like 70 or 80 bucks, so about double the price, and it was a lot better tool. It just had better components in it, and it worked better, and it has higher BTUs. The one that I bought had a longer stem, and the stem doesn't bend on it. It's just a straight stem, and it probably goes all the way out to here. So the thing that it's really nice because you don't have to bend over. You can really stick it inside this brush and get close to anything that you want. So that's really nice, especially with multiflora rose or autumn olive, where it's hard to get into the center of a big bush. The long stemmed blowtorch is really nice. But the trade off is that you have all this weight out here on the end, and it's a little harder to use if you're going to be out there all day. If you're only going to use it for 15 minutes, not a big deal at all. But if you're going to be using it for 5 hours, that heavier weight that is awkward out on the end of the valve stem, that heavier weight just puts a lot more fatigue, especially on my wrist, trying to hold it out there. So there's a trade off, and I just keep both of these tools, and I'll use whichever one is going to help me get the job done the best. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple tool, and this is my go to tool for replacing herbicides. So when I quit using herbicides, because I learned just how toxic they were, and more studies just keep coming out, revealing what I learned. So I quit using herbicides, and this tool right here is my go to tool. It's really nice. You don't have to worry about making yourself sick from herbicide exposure on the workers. You don't have to worry about poisoning non target plants. You don't have to worry about it getting in the water. You don't have to worry about bioaccumulation in bats or frogs or bees. This is really safe, non toxic way to treat these invasive species, spot treat them. So you can be really precise and you don't cause any harm to any other plants. And you spray herbicide down here, and it's going to make all these plants around here just a little weaker, just a little weaker. But with this thing, you spray, and all these plants are unfazed, and they will just keep on growing like nothing happened. Um, let's see. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say. Yeah, I can't quite remember. Well, I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. The flame weeder is a great tool for ecological work out in native ecosystems. And I do remember what I wanted to say. A lot of people, when I tell them about this method, their concern and my concern in the very beginning too, on my first project, I was worried about carrying a heavy propane tank around. And you can actually just set it down. It's got a hose. The Harbor Freight one, the hose on it is not that long, but still you can set it down like I did when I was spraying this plant. The 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 more heavy duty one that I bought, it has a much longer hose. It's like 6 feet or something. And so I can cover a lot more area while I put it down. But I did timber stand improvement with a chainsaw for years, and carrying that propane tank around was about the same as carrying that chainsaw around. And so my muscles were already adapted to that kind of work, carrying a chainsaw around. So carrying that propane tank around was really an unconscious thing for me. It didn't really bother me at all. Uh, the hose sometimes, if when I was walking around from spot to spot, that hose would drag and it would get caught on stuff sometimes. So I would just, pick up the middle of the hose so I wasn't dragging it. It's really not that big of a deal. But they also make little 5 gallon or 5 pound or 10 pound propane tanks that you can wear on your back. And I'm thinking about getting one of those backpack tanks. They make a coupler so you can refill the tank in the field. Just have a bigger tank that's full that you can refill from, and you can refill that smaller tank and get a whole day's worth of work. Or you can just buy several small tanks and take them out there ready to go full. Um, yeah. So I apologize. I don't have a lot of great videos. When I go do work in the field, the last thing I'm thinking about is getting my camera out and filming. I'm really focused when I go work, and I don't use my camera much. But I did stop and take a video of this for demonstration for a client that was really curious. The flame weeder, I think some people have some experience with it, mostly probably landscaping, maybe for a job that they had, they needed to go kill the weeds in the driveway or something. That's the most common application that these are sold for. Uh, and they work great. So the people that have used them know. And a lot of people have never used one of these, and so they just have no idea the power that is available. And it's super cheap, you know. You go buy a jug of herbicide, you're going to spend a lot of money if you buy a big jug of it. This thing is pretty cheap. Refill the propane tank. You can trade them in, at the gas station or you know, the hardware store or whatever. Our local hardware store, Westlake Ace Hardware, they refill them. So, you know, every time I have a job, I just go top them off. And, it's generally under 20 bucks whenever I top one off, maybe 30. It's really not that expensive. This is an ideal solution for people that want to get away from herbicides, want to do precision spot treatment without harming the ecology or harming themselves or harming the wildlife. All right. Thanks a lot. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like it and hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Thanks a lot.